Hello, and welcome to Bar YU Live. I am Brian B Barrett, and next to me is the Doctor of Discipline. Yeah. Professor Bary Clower. We're so glad that you're joining us, and we're so glad you're tuning in. We're not at our normal spot. It seems like the Horny Toad because it says Horny Toad back behind us, and that's because we're sort of mobile. We're sort of live. We're more than live. We are on the spot right here at the Waco, Texas Steak Cookoff and Wine Festival. I believe this is, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but this is the first annual Waco, Texas Steak Cookoff and Wine Festival right here downtown Waco. I'm looking at the Alico building. Barry?
Yeah.
This is more asphalt than you've seen in a long, long time.
Exactly. I guarantee
you. You don't get out. You don't come around here much, do you?
Don't get here. This town ain't big enough for the both of us. One thing about it, folks, y'all have the same chance today that we have. We have never missed this event.
We've
ever. First annual.
I've never missed a Waco, Texas Steak Cook-Off and Wine Festival. Ever.
It's sponsored by great Americans, and great Americans working hard for us down here.
You know, Barry, speaking of sponsors, we need to say a big shout out and a big thank you to our sponsors. Somebody you're familiar with.
Yes. Mr. Courtney
Santo,
Chalker.
Courtney Chalker, Santo Ironworks. Big shout out to them for making this possible.
Oh,
It's our sponsors that help us do what we're doing. And without them, you wouldn't get this. This is primo entertainment, don't you think, Barry?
I think it's about as best that we could do. So it just don't get no better than that.
Santo
right
Ironworks. Look them up, 817-312-9937 and SantoIronworks@gmail.com, and that's where you can find them. This is beautiful weather. It feels like it might be about 81 degrees out here. Yes. Completely sunny. Humidity level is just really, really comfortable.
It really is, and that's what surprised me getting down this far south, and then from on down. We've got humidity, but this is humility.
This is humidity down here.
Right. It gets pretty humid.
Oh, folks, we're drinking out of these lovely and fantastic Bar YU or Bar Y University mugs.
And that's a handsome mug. That's
a handsome mug. And inside we are sipping on. These are delicacies.
We got some Dublin right there.
We have
cola.
Dublin Cola. Dublin Bottling Works, our other sponsor, one of our other sponsors, right there in Dublin, Texas. And they make some premier soda pops. You call them soda pop?
Yeah. I remember growing up as soda water.
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard that term in a long time.
That made my parents feel better about giving it to us, in our sippy cup or whatever.
Sure,
when we
soda water.
Hey, water is in the ingredient, so that's okay.
It has water in it.
Justify it. If you're giving water.
Dublin Bottling Works, and we keep plenty of it on hand here, and you should visit them also, Dublin Bottling Works. And I got to tell you, they make some fantastic products, and they're one of our sponsors.
Yes.
They were one of our first sponsors, and so we want to definitely say thank you to them, send a shout out to them. So, Barry, I guess last time we talked was on the phone a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yes.
And there was some heavy weather moving in, and then since then, there's been some really tough things happen right over here over in East Texas, in the town of Canton. And you have a personal connection with what happened there with the tornadoes that came through. Tell us a little bit about that. And let's talk about after that, how does that relate to all the Bar YU stuff that we're talking about as far as cattle and livestock?
Well, it's really, first of all, my cousin and her husband, Tim, and Aaron Eberhardt, they lost their home and barns and livestock. They got much of their livestock back. But the main thing that they shared with me, the first thing that come out of their mouth is thank Jesus.
Yeah.
They had God. They had faith.
For folks that don't know,
they was not home.
That it was. I'm not sure how many fatalities there were with that particular tornado. Maybe you could tell us.
Well, at the time that we left last Sunday, when we left their home from doing what we could possibly do to help them kind of put things back together for that day, there was 27 people still missing, not confirmed, deceased, but they were still missing. And so when you take loss of home versus loss of life, that home can be replaced, but that life can't. Yeah. And so they were very grateful for that. Little, I guess, ironic, you told me what that word meant, and I think this was the time to use it. We were working on fence, I think, the last live show.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, you were.
The last video
the
show.
BarYU episode was about
And I get a text message on my phone. Didn't get it till Sunday morning, but late Saturday night, Erin texted me and she said, "If you can come and help us put our fence back together, we need help."
Right.
And there was several people there that they didn't do anything but walk around and pray.
Right.
And that was very important.
Was
but there were several
devastating.
people they just couldn't do anything, so they wasn't able to come. That was fine. But that's something that you need to know in a situation like that. If you can provide help in fixing a problem, show up and jump in.
Right.
And
there were a lot of hands that helped out.
A lot of folks there.
As well as the emergency relief efforts from the local authorities and the state. There was a lot of just people, friendly people that lived there.
Yes, sir.
That wanted to help out.
Hundreds of folks showed up.
That's what you gotta
Unpaid
love about
volunteers.
Texas,
That's right.
really. And all places with these smaller towns and communities, that they're tight-knit and everybody's family.
Yeah. And something that we did, and what I like people to do for me, is it was when I stepped out of the truck and walked up to Tim, I said, "What do you need? What would take the burden off of you right now? What do you need the most?" And he looked across his field and he said, "Right down there at that pasture, there's a boundary fence. Cows are starting to try to come home that physically can come home. I need that fence fixed." Me and my son Coy, we went down there and we started doing what we could do, and then people with heavy equipment went down and started working on what they could do. And just little stuff like that, because what we kind of targeted the show today about was, after a disaster, where do you start picking the pieces up?
And that's true. And you could probably talk about, and you know much more than me. I know what those kind of bad weather itself, just people.
Yeah.
And how we react to bad weather, and especially disasters like this. But in inclement weather, thunderstorms, you get this time of year, there's some tough thunderstorms that come through.
Oh, yeah.
What effect does that have on livestock? That may be they say that's a stupid question, but
no,
how do they? What are some of the trends that they would react? How do they act in that kind of thing? What is the first thing they do?
Depending on the weather, sometimes they walk into a wind.
Really?
A lot of times, if it's not a real strong wind and not a real strong storm, if you're missing cattle, you go to the direction that the storm come from, because the animals are smart enough to walk into it if they physically can, because that means they get out of it quicker.
Right.
Instead of walking along with.
Right.
Now, when you have blizzards and storms like that, they try to get still, turn their rear end. I've said it before, even the poorest cow has a leather coat. And so that's why God gave them a leather coat. They turn the rear to them, get their head down, get to where they can breathe, and the moisture's not getting them in the face. And so a lot of times they will drift. The same weekend that we were going and helping our cousins with their situation, and we did very little to help, but we did what we could. But my son-in-law and daughter that live out in right in the Oklahoma-Texas state line area, Boise City area, they were being hit with a snowstorm. And several cattle were lost. A lot of things, a lot of problems happened out there. Down power lines. And that was another big thing, is to watch out for that power line. Watch out for that because they were down, and most of them were dead to electricity. But the hundreds of workers that were out there earning their dollars, they were putting it together and helping people get in and out of the houses and stuff. So
if you're, you were there just the next day after it happened, right?
Yes.
Or maybe the evening of.
The next morning.
The next morning.
Yeah.
What happens when you get all these workers and some folks, like somebody like me, I've been around livestock, but someone in that situation, it's quick to know who's in charge of.
Yep.
So you've got to move some cattle down a road or something.
Yeah.
And what would be some things some of the obstacles that may happen because in emergency situations like that?
It actually happened. We were down working on the fence, and Tim says as those cattle start coming in, they'll come to feed. So we took a feed sack with us, had a little bit of feed. We shook it. Here
draw them in.
They started coming on in. We'd feed them a little bit.
Give them
they'd hang around. And then there was some guys come horseback, good hands, and they showed up bringing some cattle. And what we did, we were smart enough to get out of the way.
Right.
And then we almost had a set of cattle where we wanted them. Tim and I and Ryan, Canada, and not from Canada, but anyway, we were there and we started helping Tim get those cattle up to where they go. Well, then here comes people that didn't know, they want to come down there and help,
Right.
waving their arms and everything else and run the cattle off. So we just kind of took the cattle away from them. So it'd be like me going up there and getting in that bucket with that guy that was trying to put up the electricity and be in his way.
Sure.
Say, sure, you want to
Waving a
help me?
flashlight.
I tell you what, the best help you could be is go over there and do what you know to do. And
Right,
so,
right.
no, I guess responsibility, I've heard this all my life, that if you have the ability and you have the opportunity to help someone,
Yeah.
then I'm responsible to help you.
Sure.
It's like you stopping and helping me fix a tire. If you know nothing about putting a tire on my truck, don't stop. You're in the way.
Sure.
So it's kind of how it was. But, knowing Jesus, one thing that my cousin told me, Aaron told me, said, one thing that you really need to do to prepare is never put your most valuable documents, income tax returns, sales returns, anything like
Yep.
that in the attic. And that's where everybody's stuff is.
That's just, it gets sucked
They
out
had an
immediately.
individual come into the vet clinic. Tim's the doctor,
He's a
Tim
vet.
Eberhard.
Sure.
And they have a vet clinic there. They came in, a lady came from 5 miles from their house, and no telling how much further it could have been, but from 5 miles from their home, walked in with a billing, basically the information of their pay stubs,
Tax information.
tax information.
With
and
their Social Security numbers on it.
Got everything on
Business
it.
employee
So-
identification number.
Yes. So if you have that room that you're planning on to go in that survives the storm,
Right.
that's where you put your stuff. And
Yeah.
so
Put that in the.
it's kind of like an airplane. That's why I won't get on an airplane, is because the lowest bidder built it. And but they build that little black box to survive. If they would build the airplane out of
That's a good point.
the
Why
little
couldn't
black
they make
box
the airplane
material,
out of the box material.
it would survive.
It's
And
like
so
those military planes. Here's the F-111 or here's the
Yep.
B-52. And
Yeah,
I hear tell that's because it took them 52 tries to make that career. I think one of the airline manufacturers did that. I want to be riding on the
yeah.
X-1.
there you go. Kind of like the Cookoff that we're here, the steak and wine Cookoff. We are at the first one, and this is
We
gonna be
are
a
at the
good
first one. And today, folks, we can't tell you how beautiful it is here. I don't know if we'll ever have, maybe next year, maybe a few other live events at Bar YU Live. We can have such a stellar group of folks. I'm looking at vendors all over the place, and I'm looking at potential sponsors all over the place.
Oh yeah,
We're
that's
gonna in a little while. We're gonna grab some of them and say hello to them,
Yeah.
talk to them, and see what they're up to. There's lots of musical guests today, and I believe John May is going to be on at about 11 o'clock, something like that. Right about in about 15 minutes or so, 14 minutes.
And
Oh, we have some folks chiming
folks
in.
watching.
Here we go with
got
our
some
chat.
people in the world that's so bored they want to watch us. This is awesome.
Who is that? Let's see here. We're reading our chat page.
We got. I'll keep chatting and you can read. I'm better. At chatting
Yeah.
than reading, so.
Chime in there, folks. Let us know, if you have any questions. Good morning from the Clower outfit.
Yeah, that's old Coy. At least we know he's home, or we think he is.
That's your son, Coy.
Yep, that's
Yep.
Coy. He's taking
All right.
care of the chores and feeding the animals. That's another thing that you've got to kind of plan ahead for, and know that when you do have the animals, like we was talking about, that you have somebody that's capable.
Competent. Yeah.
That can, they had a neighbor, matter of fact, talking about Tim and Aaron, they had a neighbor call them, checking on them because their house had blown away, and they were not home. They were out in Dublin, Texas,
In Dublin.
home of the
Dublin Bottling Works.
Isn't it neat how it all folds back around to our
beat
sponsors? And that's another thing that it'd be important to know, Courtney Chalker, at this time with Santo
I guess so.
Ironworks,
There's
is
a
being
lot of
able to
stuff that gets-
rebuild the fences,
Rebuild fences, gates,
houses.
houses.
One thing that did get spoke upon, that I know a lot of new people that are watching the show, they're just now buying their first farm and ranch. They're just now
Right.
kind of getting interested in what to do, what not to do. If Erin, she's emphasized that if you have a farm and ranch insurance policy, you have to make sure that every item that you want insured is itemized and written down
Yes.
on that, because if it's not, it will not be covered.
it will
And
not be
fences
covered.
Are not covered, and this, so that's something that
I've never
has to
thought
be-
about that. Really, insurance for a fence.
Yes, because if it costs you thousands and thousands, say it cost you $5,000 to put up a fence and it gets wiped out,
Right.
then you're out that $5,000. And how many times you want to put that thing
So do
up?
insurance companies, and this may be, if someone's out there who works in insurance, maybe you could
Yeah, they can
shine
chime
some
in and let
light
us know.
on some of this. Do you take a picture of the entire fence?
Well, I
I got a video for you. I'll send it. Now you can insure my fence.
Yeah.
You got 4 hours to stare at fence?
They usually come out and do a walk by, drive by.
Yeah.
But yeah, every item that you want insured,
That's
like
interesting.
Tim told me, he said he paid thousands of dollars a year for insurance, and you always have enough insurance until you need the insurance,
Yep.
and then you never have enough
Yeah.
insurance. So
That's
yeah,
always the
go
case,
from
seems
having-
like. Barry, our producer,
right, we got
Matt
something
Wallace,
coming
just
in up
dropped. Who's saying? Do we have? Santo is on the line. Yep, Coy's back.
yeah,
You know Caleb Butler?
yeah, coming from the feed yard
Says,
down there
hey,
with
Barry,
Tucker.
coming at the feed
know
yard
they're-
with Tucker. Okay.
I know they're working hard. I'll guarantee you.
feed yard.
Yeah.
Well, Barry, have you seen these yet?
Yes, I have. I
These-
saw those.
our producer Matt Wallace
Gotta get you
has,
one.
made a fantastic
Gotta get more than one.
shirt. Come look at these. Let me hold
Ranch
this up.
Rodeo.
Everybody can see it.
You bet.
Property
up.
of Ranch Rodeo. RYU.
Greatest thing about that we have your size and we have your color.
Yes.
And the color we need from you is green. So send it on
There's
in.
about
Send it.
seven
Go
or eight
ahead.
colors here, and they're pretty. This is pretty phenomenal. That's a great looking shirt. So
Yep.
look
Good
us
stuff.
up. Look us up if you want to get one. Matt, shout out where they can grab one of these. TexasBigStar.tv is where you can pick these up.
It'll be good.
Oh, well,
But
what
we
else
are
have
here
you
to
been
help.
up to?
Just
what else?
working.
That
This time
seems
of
like-
year, we talked about spring works, Brandin calves, working them.
Right.
That's another very important thing. Going back to our storm type happening is the reason we brand cattle. It's not to be cruel. It doesn't hurt them. And
Right.
identify them either with an ear mark or an ear tag.
Right.
Of course, the vaccines are very important that you have to give them. But when getting that brand on your animal and having a record of it, saying, hey, I'm going to write this down in a notebook and put it in a safe place. Or some people put it on their computers and then that gets blown away in the storm. But write it down, and then and people will know, wow, that cow came from Canton, Texas, and it's 40 miles away, whether it walked or whether the storm picked it up and put it out there.
Yeah, many
they've got
times-
identification,
yeah,
phone number.
You know it's a strong storm when it picks up
Excuse me.
your cattle. And you were telling me earlier, it has happened in the past. I'm not sure when and where, but they'll
Yep.
show up miles away,
Yep.
perfectly healthy, perfectly fine, walking around.
Yes,
And
exactly.
So branding, and you said ear tags,
Yes.
very important.
Yeah, it can be. Now, in our country, it's real brushy and briars and stuff. A lot of times we won't waste the money on ear tags because they'll stick their head in a tree limb and pull it out. And
Right.
but we do have that brand. That brand is registered, at the courthouse. And, I'm feeling like something right now is mentioning our guys backstage. They're making this happen.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And one thing that Dylan, hey, I feel like, hang on just a second. Kind of feel like Forrest Gump. We're sitting here talking, and
Look at that.
this feather comes flying down. So
That's a lovely
I like it a lot.
I like
But the thing about this live show, we got a lot of stuff going on real live.
And everybody's got their own. There's a big tent over there and a big tent over there, too.
You bet.
Yeah.
And one thing about this show, regardless what we're talking about,
What
it
is
is going to be intense. And that is from our co-director back there, Mr. Dylan. We appreciate Dylan.
Captain D, Dylan,
Captain D.
Sloth Time Lord.
Yeah.
That is his
They're
joke.
in the green
We're giving
tents
props
and
and
we're in
creds.
the white tents.
Yes, whatever you do today, this particular episode is going to be intense. Wow. I don't know how to top that one. Where are you going to be at next, Barry?
Well, I guess probably, hopefully over at that table with
Okay.
steak and wine. Are they going to give us some stuff, or at least some Dublin?
Well, you got
we'll go to
Dublin for sure.
We'll do the
Yeah,
wine.
Matt's certainly going to hook you up with a pass.
Yeah.
So after today, what's on your schedule, Barry?
Okay, next thing we got going on, we're going to be heading up to Woodward,
Now, where's that at?
Oklahoma. for a ranch rodeo.
Okay,
it's
ranch
be up
rodeo.
in the Panhandle, right where the Panhandle turns there at the edge of Texas and Oklahoma. Tomorrow we're going to be speaking at a church over here by Lot.
Yeah.
Going to share a little Jesus over there, a lot of Jesus, with them, and got a little community cowboy church, I believe, over there, and we're going to be helping with them. They're celebrating, I believe it's a 10th annual get together, and so they kind of needed somebody, I think, to come and speak, and so they could blame if it goes wrong.
Well, it's a 10-year,
if it goes right,
10-year anniversary of it, yeah.
Yes, and we definitely give the glory to the Lord if it's good, and then I can blame the people that call me if it's bad, and so we won't have to worry about
standard operating procedure right there.
Exactly. But then after Woodward, we'll roll into June. We don't have a lot of rodeos in June. It gets a little bit warm, know, but we've got a few. I'll just have to look at the calendar. I can't remember. I was lucky to remember to be here today.
Well, I'm glad. I was in the van drinking a bottle of water and fixing to walk around, and you called. So I was glad you called. That way,
so this is the guy that lives in a van down by the river.
Any river. Speaking of rivers, efficiency, you fish?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Every time I was trying to rope something, I'm fishing it on. But no, my son, actually, Coy, he's going with old Pawpaw today. He's going down to our neighbor. It's his Santo granddad.
Okay.
And Jim Bob Moore, Janice Moore, great people. And, we put on the Sloan T. Telefaro.
Yes, yeah.
It's Sloan's grandparents. And so,
oh, that's good.
Old Coy, he's going to hang out. The weather got just right. And Jim Bob's been itching to go fishing. And Coy, he loves it. And so they're going to take the old rod and reels down. And they fish in some dirt tank areas.
Sure.
Some East Texas call it ponds. But also they'll do some fishing in the river.
Yeah.
And creek sits right around there, and put some trot lines out, and you can get some pretty big fish.
Yesterday, there's a little creek that runs by where we're at, and the bass have been I think they've been on bed, so I think they're coming off bed in some of these smaller bodies of water that may be warming up a little faster. Your tanks, your ponds. So I put on a green slug.
Green slug. I bet you look good in that green slug.
Put on a green slug.
Oh, okay, I got you. Put it on the hook.
It was kind of slimy. Anyway, they hit that thing like they were starving. So
they were hungry.
Just a tip to you. Go with a green slug today if you're out.
You bet.
Try that.
Man, you just, that's so great about this show is you don't even have to be interested and you can learn something.
You can learn something.
I guarantee you.
Springtime, they're off bed, green slug.
Bet. Man, I can see the Snap-on tool canopy out
There's
there.
A Harley
Davidson people.
Cabela's.
And we got to get
future sponsors.
We need to give a shout out to our Wi-Fi man.
Indeed.
How about that?
AirNet.
We wouldn't hear internet.
AirNet is providing what you guys are. They're making it all possible.
You bet.
And Jake. I mean,
we appreciate Jake and Dylan, but that's what we're giving thumbs up to AirNet. I mean, we wouldn't be here without them. We appreciate them being able to spot a tire nearby and steal us some. I mean, get us some.
The links they've gone to make not just this show today, Barry. We have Texas Big Star Live right after this.
Yeah.
The entire day, the broadcast. AirNet is making that possible. So make sure you look into AirNet for your wireless needs. There's a satellite dish out here headed that way and some other things. But
and if you don't get a hold of Bear,
Bear
to do the job, he is physically capable of getting hold of you.
Yeah,
this guy is a man. Now I guarantee you, he's a good one. But no,
I didn't
no
mean
joke.
It, but I think I know who you're talking about. He's staring right at me.
No, Bear's the man. I tell you what, they put this deal together, and we appreciate. I never knew I would know so much about technology. I grew up holding the rabbit ears with the tinfoil on it. Me and my brother, we would cramp up right during the ball game, and it would be pretty tough.
Hey, Matt. Come on over.
Hey, Matt, what's going on?
Like it's your show.
The thing is that we literally got everything working moments before we went online.
Well, that's when we needed it.
Well, that's true.
we didn't need it until 10:30.
So. What that means is we weren't able to get everything exactly like we needed to, is the information you guys needed. But I appreciate you saying thanks to AirNet.
Oh, yeah.
There's Bear over there.
Yeah.
He's the guy that hooked us up. But I didn't have the information, so you could say what their website is. It's gettheair.net. theair.net. And that way you can find out who, if you want to find them online, that's what you're looking for.
Gettheair.net.
Yep,
Simple enough.
I didn't know how to do that. I couldn't get that information to you any other way.
You could have signed it.
Hey,
I don't sign, man.
Yeah,
They could sign it.
I think this was the best way to get it done right there.
Get her done.
I do. You got it. You got it done,
So,
man. It was awesome.
I've been running around.
Hey,
like
how y'all
crazy.
doing? We got the crew there now. How about people that ain't never wore shorts before are coming out? Right there. That man right there is the reason I don't wear shorts. God bless you, friend.
So,
Bear got my bag, ain't you?
there she is. There she is.
All
Lisa's
right.
on the show. She swore that wasn't going to happen. That was
We having
awesome.
fun now.
Yay!
There's
So
gonna be.
everything was just kind of crazy. So I have no idea what you guys actually talked about. But are you going to? Did you talk about next live show? What you're going to talk about?
Not yet, but
All
we're
right.
there.
We ain't got through with this one yet.
No,
No.
no, but
What would you like us to talk
no,
about?
no.
the
But
next
see,
show?
when we were talking before, we were talking about what happens when disaster happens.
Yes.
And the kind of
Yes,
issues
correct,
you were talking
correct.
about.
I know where you're going.
Guys waving their hands around trying to quote help, and
Yeah.
all they're doing is scaring the cattle.
Just scaring
that
the
kind of
livestock,
stuff.
yeah.
Yep.
But what we talked about is that we wouldn't have enough time today to talk about how you could prepare when you know a
Yes,
storm's
correct.
coming.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Right,
We talked
that is
a bit
correct. We
about
talked
that.
just a little bit about getting all your valuable documents and tax returns and all your information that you have
That sounds
for your
way more
business.
detailed than what you and I
For
talked
your
about.
business. Well,
It's a
my
real story.
cousin brought this up. She said they found a receipt of basically all the information
Their
out of their
personal
taxes
5 miles
for
away.
their vet clinic, their employees' names and what they earn.
Everything.
Socials, yeah.
5 miles away. Luckily, a good Christian lady brought that in and said, "Hey, here, we want you to have this back before the wrong person
Yeah, yeah,
gets
yeah.
hold of it."
Before you charge for
being
some
able to
camera
go
gear in the
home-
Netherlands.
So next live show.
Yes.
We're going to talk more
Prevention.
about when you know a storm's coming.
Yes.
And so I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
know if y'all said that. So
No,
fantastic.
well, we're going to
So
do
you
some
said thank you
prevention.
to our sponsor.
Absolutely.
We talked about T-shirts. Talk about mugs. Mugs are
Got
on
mugs,
sale on
mugs.
You know, the
Bar
fact of
Ryu
the matter
mugs.
is a lot of people don't. I really like it when people are saying they like this show.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of people like, that's awesome. I love that show. You know, it's all word of mouth. We don't have some big marketing campaign, so it's fantastic when
Right.
people say they like it. But if you like the show,
Yeah.
you really need to buy some stuff.
Yeah. And
So
Jinx,
the show
Jinx,
can
show,
keep going
buy
on.
some
yeah, we got
stuff.
Jinx Clower. He's also another cousin of mine,
that's
and so
true.
without Jinx, boy, we'd be in trouble. He's got 40
Shout
million
out to
people.
Jinx.
Yeah.
Like I said, now the
Jinx.
idea of
Jinx
getting
juice.
jinxed, that's a good thing for me as far as I'm
Yes,
concerned.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So-
Jinx juice, I think, is what you called it last time, and most of the time it's 80 proof or plus. But anyway, that's a whole different story.
All right, guys. Thank you. I'm going to step aside while you guys wrap it up.
Yeah, we're
But
gonna
thanks
wrap.
I want to let you know that. So thank you.
You know,
Thank you,
Brian.
our
I want
producer
to
Matt
say
Wallace,
something.
everybody.
I want to say something quick. I think the only guy today that's not watching our show is Matt.
Yeah.
But he give us a recap
Well,
pretty quick.
he's running around everywhere. He's
I
like
know he's
the
a busy
Flash.
man.
Barry, we've come to that part of the show where we kind of say, "Hey, we're at the end of the show," and so that means
Well, bye,
we get some
Felicia.
Clower power words of wisdom.
Well, I already said the quote of the day, you know, and so I'm just pretty well going to stick with that for us today.
more time.
It comes from Coy Clower. It says, if you don't get everything done today that you had planned, you planned way too much.
You heard it right here from Professor Clower. Folks, thank you for tuning in to Bar YU Live. That's Bar Y University. Check it out online, baryclower.com. You can find us right there. TexasBigStar.tv. You can find all the things that we do, and we thank you for joining in. Signing off right now, we're at the Waco, Texas Steak Cookoff and Wine Festival. We'll see y'all in a couple of weeks. See ya. It's a Texas Orange Dream Day for me. I woke up today and went, the sun's out, and I want something that's sunny and cheerful. And it makes you sunny and cheerful.
And I was needing some caffeine, so there we
He
go.
just wanted some caffeine, so
That's right.
grab you one, grab you two, grab you some.